Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. This is your host, Beck Milonas, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Cracked Open, a podcast about becoming a vessel of unconditional love. It's so great to be here again, and I'm really excited to share these messages that have been coming down to share with everyone. So bear with me, I'm just going to go live on Instagram. So today I felt guided to come on and share. Don't really know what I'm going to share, but I've been guided to come on and share something that is true to my heart and that I feel the collective is really ready to hear at this moment. Because the reality is, there are a lot of people in this world that are in this energy of seeking, right? Seeking something more, seeking esoteric wisdom, seeking awakening, seeking enlightenment, seeking love, seeking security, seeking purpose, seeking peace, seeking wholeness. And there are countless pathways in which one can go on this journey. And I've gone on quite the journey over the past decade or more. Different pathways to return me back to a much more simple truth. Because in a way, we're all seeking. We're all looking for something. And that journey often looks like going down rabbit holes. Ego deaths, spiritual awakening. Maybe your pathway was the church. Maybe it has been through personal development, through fitness, through relationships. Our souls are always being driven towards something, right? Seeking something, which puts us on this journey of realization and awakening. And it catalyzes this path forward for us, which is this unbecoming. So I don't care what your pathway was or has been. You have landed on this video because there is something for you to hear. So as you listen, my invitation for you is to let go of judgments, let go of what you think you know, let go of trainings and teachings and dogma and structures or ideas that you have around where this is all guiding you, right? Because ultimately it is this journey of self-realization that people go on. And it is a beautiful journey. And as I said, I've been on this journey for quite some time, not just in this human life, but as a soul. And where I sit now and where I stand and what I understand or understand, where I've landed, is actually far more simple than some of the pathways I had to go down, the stories I had to believe, the mysteries I had to acquire to return here. And where is here? Here is a constant state of anchored peace and fulfillment, where I am able to live my human life to its fullest capacity. I'm able to enjoy all the fruits of being human, all the juicy, delicious things that is being human, while being connected to something that is profoundly not human, right? It is out there somewhere. It is the soul. It is the higher consciousness. It is God. It is my galactic nature, whatever you want to call it, right? The spiritual self. But what I see is, and what I notice and what I'm being called to speak into and support people with moving forward, is releasing all of these attachments to spiritual identities or mysteries or pathways that are actually just keeping people in more confusion and more separation, right? Because this entire journey is to get you to a place where you are living, breathing, and existing from a place of total sovereignty. You are aware of what you are creating. You are taking agency for your life. You are taking personal responsibility and recognizing what out there is like actually showing you something within that is just seeking wholeness, right? But when you find and return to the part of you that is already whole, is already held, is already loved, is already perfect, divine, secure, already has everything that it needs, is part of this beautiful, greater design that you don't actually have to understand, right? This is the key part of this. You do not have to understand how and why you are being divinely supported every step of the way to know and to experience that playing out in your life in such profound ways. I call it God. I don't want to bring religious attachment into this conversation because, as I said, this is a conversation for people on all pathways, right? All pathways back to this return. I call it the returning, right? Returning back to wholeness, back to integration, back to being this sovereign, activated human with this awareness, but then you bring this awareness here and now into your human life. So I'm not concerned about labels, titles, or like that. We should leave that out of this conversation. Because ultimately, this whole journey of seeking, whether that is through plant medicine, whether that is through the church, whether that is through your fitness journey, whether that is through, like it was for me, countless partnerships which cracked me open and brought me back to the love that I already was. Whatever pathway your human and your soul have co-created to experience this returning, it is perfect. It is divine. It was orchestrated that way for a reason. But I am inviting you in this conversation to not get stuck there in the seeking, because this is what I see. And it's interesting, recently I've had a lot of messages from people being like, I saw you on this documentary, right? And the documentary, I was talking about our galactic origins. I was talking about the priestess lineages. I was talking about sacred technology. I was talking about the Anunnaki, all of these things that at one point in my journey, I had to go down those rabbit holes. I had to remember those lifetimes. I had to have those experiences to bring me back here now into this state that I am in, which all of us can be in, which is this reunification with the original template of what we were always designed to be before the fall. We don't talk about the fall. We're not gonna get into the fall on this conversation, right? The fall of humanity. Because it doesn't matter. It's not relevant. The past is not relevant. Who you were in a past life doesn't matter. What priestess lineages you've been in doesn't matter. What ancient mysteries you've studied doesn't matter. What galactic race you connected with doesn't matter. What trauma you have had from the church doesn't matter. What you have experienced in your childhood doesn't matter. What you're seeing showing up in your reality in this day doesn't matter. Nothing matters except this one truth that I'm trying to bring into this conversation. And this truth is that you were never actually separate from that power you've been seeking elsewhere outside of you. You've been trying to glean from mysteries. You've been going down rabbit holes, trying to evolve or ascend or connect to something, right? What your soul is actually asking for you and desires for you is to connect back to the Creator, right? God. Again, the word God, take it or leave it, right? I personally believe in a higher power who oversees everything. And this is what I've realized this journey is about. It's not about guiding people back home to something external outside of them, which has all the power. It's like God is within you because you are seeded from this energy, right? It lives within you. It exists within you. You are from it. There is no separation from it. And so it's not something outside that you need to give power to. But at the same time, it is not through your own volition, yourself, your ego, your manipulation of what is, that fulfillment is found. It's actually in recognizing this unification that is already there. I hope you're reading between the lines in what I'm saying. Because if we believe that we are separate, we are not loved, we are not held, we are not secure, we are not taken care of, we are not provided for, we're not allowed to experience a beautiful life for whatever reason, be that your past life karma or your childhood trauma or what you're seeing constantly showing up in your reality. If for whatever reason you have this identity level attachment to that story of being separate, you are never going to be able to experience the truth of who and what you are. And you are always going to be placing power outside of you. You are going to be relying on people, on relationships, on the man, on the business, on the clients showing up, on the bills being paid, on the money in the bank, on the church, on that ascended master, on that person taking you through the shamanic journey, on the plant medicine, on the freaking whatever, the sacred mysteries, the Egyptian lineage, whatever the heck you want to attach to as like, this is my source of power. This is my source of security. This is my source of love. This is my source of worth and validation. These are all external things that we need to go through that journey sometimes, to attach to these external things, to be led down these pathways, to see some things. But all of it is to remind you, and I'm honestly, what I'm saying in this video could shortcut your entire journey like that if you just allow yourself to open up in this moment to receive what I am saying as a felt experience of the love that is already yours, right? Of the security that is already yours, of the fulfillment that is already yours. We were brought into this world, into this life, into this sphere, into this matrix, whatever you want to call it, so we could realize ourselves as little specks of the Creator having an experience. And the closer you get to releasing the separation between you and that, the I am that I am, again, I need to be really clear here, because so much out there places the self as the center, as the most important, as the source of power. We are not the source. We are conduits and channels and receptors for the source, but we are a spark of the source, right? There's a spark of the indwelling source within all of us, which means we're not separate. We're born from its body. Yet we are not the totality of source. And that's a distinction that I feel to really reiterate as it's important, right? Because when you place yourself at the center always at the center, then there is this sense of I must do everything, I must enact everything, I must create everything, all by myself. But when, ironically, it's like we are empowered and we are in control and we are creating, but actually there's also something much bigger creating through us. And when we can recognize that balance between like, I get to choose and decide and take responsibility for my reality and see what is being reflected and where I'm still separate, and I'm taking full sovereignty for that, because that is actual enlightenment. Like, I am creating everything in every freaking minute of every day, and it is my responsibility to get clear on like, what am I seeing, where am I separate outside what is being reflected. But the other side of the coin, the other side of that journey that a lot of people don't recognize, is that it's actually the realization of that connection that can't be taken from you, of that power source that you will always be plugged into, that is endless, overflowing abundance and support and provision and security, because it is benevolent and it only ever wants you to have the highest experience that you possibly can, right? It wants the best for you, the best of the best. That enables us to get out of the way. I'm going to share some totally miraculous things that have been happening in my life that is just speaking to allowing ourselves to get out of the way and allowing something greater to animate us. I am talking about like things that are miraculous, things that are like divinely orchestrated, that we can't do it from this place of mind, ego, self. I am the one creating all of this, right? It actually requires us to relinquish control to something greater that sees the whole picture. Because from this perspective, from your beliefs and from your judgments and from whatever pathway or journey that you have come through to get to this point, you're projecting that onto all of reality all of the time. And so there's blind spots. There are things that you cannot see that are being orchestrated. Like, for instance, an email system going renegade and sending an email that it wasn't meant to be sent to offer you into an experience. And like, boom, you've been divinely orchestrated. Or events lining up for you to meet the right person that had that bus not been cancelled and you weren't late, you wouldn't have run into that person. Or had that plane not been delayed, you wouldn't have crossed paths with someone who was going to change your freaking trajectory forever. And as humans, we want to cling to the I am the one that is in power. I am in the seat of this. I am the one creating this, for a sense of control. But the reality is, when we are trying to control this force, when we're trying to be the one steering the ship, because of our fears, because of our attachments, because of whatever else, that grace actually cannot unfold, right? And so what I'm seeing in a lot of, in the collective, there is this exhaustion that I feel. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, there's so many things I've shared on here that it's not that I don't resonate with them, but it's that I no longer need them. At this point in my journey, the things that I once would share about, I don't need them to experience what I'm experiencing anymore. It's like they have expired, right? My understanding and my connection has transcended the need for these titles or these labels or these systems, for instance, the ancient mysteries or the priestess path or whatever else I've been talking a lot on here extensively, Kundalini, like all of these things that we're using, these tools, these vehicles, they are all guiding us back home to this one truth, which is peace and inner security, right? And everything that you go through is only ever just catalyzing you in this direction of realization. So can you release the attachment to all of that shit out there and recognize that you were never separate from the source? We experience instability. and anxiety and chaos in our reality, which may look like a partner continuously not choosing us. And that shows up in all our relationships until we get the lesson, right? Until we understand that we are chosen. We were always chosen. It's us that wasn't choosing to see that we were chosen, and just repeating that pattern out there because it's seeking to come back to wholeness. This is what I want you to understand. Your soul is seeking you to return. That is the point of this whole journey. It is seeking you to return to a place of safety and stability and peace and regulation. These are very human embodied concepts. They are not out there woo-woo galactic starseed origins like ancient mysteries, right? They are very embodied in the human body, in the human experience. I am a human being having this human experience, which I have arrived at from my journey of returning to the fact that I was never actually insecure. I was never actually unsafe. I was never actually under threat, right? Your nervous system, your body, your physiology is going to repeat patterns, and it's going to look for some sense of integration through its journey, whether that is through catalytic soulmate connections, whether that is through having to go through all this past life karma, whether that is through abuse in your childhood, whether that is through, hey Mikey, good to see you. Oh my God, I miss you. How are you? Speaking of soulmate connections, going through all of these things just to bring you back to this one truth. So can you let go of all the noise and just recognize that everything that you are experiencing is just to bring you back to turning it inwards and saying, where am I still perceiving myself as separate from this force, this being, this spark within me that is so fucking secure, that doesn't need a man or a woman or a job or money in the bank or anything else outside, because my system is no longer reaching for certainty, reaching for stability, reaching for peace in other things. I'm no longer looking for other things outside me to regulate my nervous system, to help me to feel peace, because I have returned to the source of that peace. And that source of peace is something that actually can't be taken from you. There is the channel. I did a reel about this and I'm going to reiterate it here. There's the channel and there's the source. So you may have all sorts of different channels for things coming to you that are creating safety, or they're creating security, or they're creating validation, or they are creating a sense of love, or being chosen, or wanted, or whole, or whatever. There are all these different channels that can come and provide that for you, right? So for instance, a man walks into your life and he's like, hey, let me love you, let me choose you, let me provide for you. Great, sorted. I have all of those needs met, and suddenly I feel very secure and validated. But when that person decides to leave because your pattern is playing out still, because your nervous system doesn't actually feel safe to receive that provision, to receive that love, because it's repeating this cycle of chaos, because that's all you've known. And so that's what you're repeating in your relationships, on your spiritual journey, through having to clear karma and go through all these experiences, right? You're repeating that instability and that chaos in everything that you attract until you recognize that that person coming in was never the source, right? They were never meant to be the source. They were just a vessel that God was choosing, or your soul was choosing, to experience that frequency through, and inviting you to hold that experience in yourself and recode yourself, down-regulate your nervous system, decondition the parts of you that don't feel safe to receive love or money or whatever it is, showing you this mirror of, this is where my edge is and I can't receive that because I was taught that I couldn't receive that, because I've had disappointing experiences, because of whatever reason. So then your soul will go and create all of these different pathways for you to experience that. Maybe it's past life stuff. Maybe it's an ayahuasca journey. Maybe it's like returning to the church. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. It doesn't matter how it is being orchestrated in your life. Events are going to show you where you're still clinging to something else, the channel and not the source. Because the channel can change. The person can leave. The job can expire, right? The money can stop flowing in. And if you're clinging to the channel and the channel closes or it wants to change, then you fall on your ass. And then you go back into a cycle of instability and chaos. And your nervous system continues to repeat this pattern of I'm not safe, I must be anxious, I must spiral, I must live in fear. But when you plug into the source, that is always going to change the channel, right? The channel's always changing. Life is always moving. Life is always happening. We are always evolving. The vehicle doesn't matter. It's whether you are plugged into the source or not that matters. Because I am telling you, as someone who plugged into so many freaking external channels and mysteries and wisdom and gods and things outside me that were giving me my power and angels and beings and galactic, all of this shit. We're giving our power away every time we put it somewhere where it doesn't belong, because the source is the only place it is going to be stable and is going to give you lasting peace. And that source is something that you cannot ever be removed from. You were never removed from. And this world, this society has brought you into it to tell you that you are not enough. You are removed from the source. You need something outside of you to create safety, to make you feel loved, to make you feel enough. And I'm sorry, excuse my French, because I'm trying to not swear anymore, but it's fucking bullshit, right? It is not the truth. The truth is you came into this life coded with everything that you will ever need. All the love that you will ever need. All the security that you will ever need. All the peace that you will ever need. Your body, your system is actually designed. It is designed to heal itself and come back into balance with everything. It is meant to move in these waves where it picks up the field, it picks up the earth, it lives in synchronicity. It's not synchronicity, it lives in harmony with this great flow of life that is always moving for us, redirecting us. You were never separate from that, right? You were never separate from that. It was never outside of you. You just have a system that is still trying to get that security from elsewhere. And so what happens when you let go of trying to plug into everything and everyone else for that sense of power or peace or control, and you actually start plugging into the truth of who you are and what you are, which is a beloved child of God, right? Things happen effortlessly for you. You feel at peace. There is a peace that you will feel when you return home to this. And there's a lot of people in the church who feel this through Jesus. And I feel this through Jesus. And I adore Jesus because Jesus brings this energy of that peace, the way, the truth, the life, this peace, this freaking unconditional love that is so benevolent. It is so compassionate. It is so protective that nothing and no one outside of you can ever take that away. That is what the church, the good parts of the church is offering. That is what this whole spiritual path is about. Returning back to this force of love that lives, breathes, exists within us, that only ever wants us to thrive. We were born and designed to thrive. And so if you're at a point where you are seeking, you're still looking, you're still confused, you're still on this journey of trying to realize yourself or get ascended or heal, you can skip all the bullshit, right? This is your permission slip, because right now what I'm seeing in the collective field is that there have been enough of us that have walked that path and paved it through our journey, through our embodiment, through our ego deaths, through these rabbit holes we've gone down, right? We've all gone through rabbit holes to consolidate this information, to bring this message to you now. So it's going to shortcut your whole freaking journey. Amazing. This is what we want, the fast track, right, to returning, and tell you it's not about any of that. None of that stuff matters. None of the noise matters. It's about you returning back to this peace. That is all there is. It's returning back to the peace that was already within you, the security that was already within you, the love that was already within you. And from that place of connecting back to that source, what happens in your nervous system and your body is, it's just like, it's profound. It is miraculous. This is where people say they have these faith healings, like illnesses, they collapse. Things in their reality, like I was saying, this crazy thing that happened to me the other day with the email going renegade, these things just rearrange themselves. And it's like that thing that felt impossible just lands because your system is no longer signaling, I am seeking, and it is creating this mirror from this place of I am already whole. I don't need the man. I don't need the client. I don't need the recognition. I don't need the validation. I don't need the followers. I don't need the likes. I don't need the money to know that I am profoundly loved, profoundly supported, profoundly enough. And when your body, when your system, your nervous system, right? Again, I just keep bringing this back to the body and the system because through all the work that I have done on this journey, the thing that always brought me back and shifted things in my reality was always the somatic work, right? It was the actually experiencing this in my physiology and my physiology changing from me holding this state of returning. Because what happens when you return in this way and you plug into this source, as I was saying, miraculous healing, your cells, your nervous system, your mitochondria, everything in your body, your fascia, starts to unwind. It starts to release. It starts to let go. And then this beautiful source that created imperfection, everything that you see out there, everything was created in divine perfection and wellness and thriving. We were created to thrive. So everything you see out there, including your physical body, everything that is physical comes under this divine law if you allow it to. And so then what happens as you plug into this inner security, this inner source, this inner stream of energy that is coming from something higher than you, but is also within you. It's like awakening this spark that was already within you, but it's also connecting you to more of that spark and bringing more of that spark alive in the body. And if you want to use like the spiritual language for that, this is your light body coming online and the ascension process of like, all my cells are now vibrating the energy of the creator, right? Like that's what this journey is really freaking about. It's about you bringing your body into harmony, into highest harmonic resonance with all that is. That's all it is. Like, don't get confused. Don't get lost going down rabbit holes and all these journeys and all of these things that you feel like you need to do to return back. No, just plug back into the source and allow it to rearrange your body, your nervous system, your life, to come back to its natural state of peace and well-being. And from that place, you no longer be this human. You are no longer this human on this journey of seeking and striving and trying to get somewhere and trying to be something and trying to go on these spiritual journeys and esoteric rabbit holes. And oh my God, maybe it wasn't that. And maybe it's the church. And maybe I need to find Jesus again. And I'm always seeking for something and someone to save me. But really what it is your soul is wanting to return to what it already was. And it never was separate from, right? So if you can just cut all of that out and sit with your body, knowing what I've shared with you, right? Sit with your body and ask your body, what feels unsafe for me to receive? Where am I still creating contraction or tightness or chaos? Where is my body still being influenced by this matrix, by my reptilian brain, by my conditioning, by my trauma? Because none of that stuff is the truth. It is not the truth of who you are, right? Sickness is not the truth of who you are. Disease is not the truth of who you are. Being rejected is not the truth of who you are. Not being chosen is not the truth of who you are. Being broke is not the truth of who you are. Being unseen is not the truth of who you are. It is your conditioning. It is your body. It is your trauma. It is your nervous system signaling that, and therefore the external has no choice but to continue to give you the same feedback loop until you learn to stop trying to appease it and heal it through external things, and your body actually shifts, your nervous system shifts to be able to hold security and stability, right? This is not a conceptual mindset thing. This is a felt, lived, embodied experience of my nervous system is downregulated. I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I'm at peace. The bill comes in, I don't panic. The partner dumps me, I don't panic. That nothing in my external reality is telling me that things are going my way, and yet I don't panic because I am regulated. And then from this place of not grasping, not seeking, not yearning, this is when everything effortlessly materializes in your reality, because it's like you're not saying I'm separate from that. I need that experience to feel whole. You're saying I am whole, and therefore my physical reality is going to reflect that wholeness back to me. It's going to reflect God's love back to me. It's going to reflect how I'm so chosen back to me. It's going to reflect how healthy I am back to me. Your whole reality is going to start to reflect back to you how divine you actually are, how loved you actually are, how held you actually are, how safe you actually are. Right? So it's like reverse engineering. It's not like we seek the thing and then we feel good. It's like we feel good and then the thing arrives, and that's like basic manifestation stuff. People will tell you that in manifestation, but what they won't tell you is that it's not about affirmations and like forcing yourself mentally to like visualize and conceptualize and believe something that you're actually not holding in your body, because you can repeat affirmations till your face goes blue, but if inside you still have this rupture, you still have this separation, this little girl or little boy inside wanting to be held, wanting to be supported, wanting to be loved, not feeling safe to receive that thing that you say that you want, you're not going to receive it. Right? And the returning of safety in the body can only happen when you start to recalibrate yourself back to this truth, this higher energy. What it does is it vibrates through all of your cells, harmony through your cells. And, you know, I've been on this path of shifting trajectories in my career. And it's funny because now, like I said, this documentary is on Prime and people keep messaging me being like, oh, I saw you on this UFO disclosure documentary and you're talking about the priestess lineages and it really resonated. I'm like, great. And now here's the next part of this journey that none of that stuff matters, and where I'm being guided to share from is I'm just a human now having a human experience of being fully loved, fully held, fully supported. I'm living that experience of what happens after awakening, what happens. And it's not like awakening is done, I'm never going to have an awakening again. It's that I'm not seeking awakening anymore. I'm not seeking spiritual enlightenment anymore. I'm not seeking esoteric mysteries anymore. I'm not seeking to connect to my star family anymore. I'm not seeking any of that stuff because I don't need it. Why would I need to understand ancient mysteries if I was already part of the greatest ancient mystery that there was, which is the great mystery, and that is the source that is looking after me and taking care of me? I don't need to fucking know any of that stuff, right? And I feel like through our fall, humanity was given a lot of stuff they weren't ready for and introduced to mysteries that were far beyond our comprehension. And that's where things got distorted. And I talk about this in my first book. So if you are on this train and you're really interested in ancient mysteries, and maybe you saw that documentary and you're like, I want to know more, that really resonated with me, then please go read Diamond Light Oracle, because I talk about this. When humans have access to information and sacred mysteries, like it's like looking behind a veil we were not meant to look behind, right? Because we are not the ones who are in control of the divine design. So why are we trying to manipulate it, right? There's no need to manipulate the divine design if you're in harmony with it. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to make that work bad or wrong. Again, it was part of my journey, and like, mwah, chef's kiss, it was an important part of my journey. But the problem is where we separate ourselves from that, or we try to control that divine design. And it's not our job to understand or know or see behind the veil. To be honest, since letting go of all of that and no longer trying to be the one orchestrating things and just being like, hey, I'm just going to open my body to receive, make my nervous system feel safe to receive, and, you know, act as if I was already secure and I was already this and I was already that, there literally becomes no reason to manipulate reality, to have access to these higher mysteries, because you recognize that the greatest source that there already is and ever was never actually separate from you, and it was working on your behalf all the time. So all you actually have to do is get your body on board to receiving what is already meant to be yours. You don't have to manipulate reality. You just need to bring your body back into peace and homeostasis and harmony and regulation, and feel that so it can naturally organize itself, right? It's natural. It happens. I don't want to be the one trying to like make an email system fire off. And like, honestly, some of the things God has orchestrated or this higher source has orchestrated when I just got out of the way and I recalibrated my nervous system to receive is just, it just baffles me. It baffles me. And I can't ever orchestrate that from the level of my human or my mind or the mysteries trying to manipulate time and space. Because I'm not the one running the show. To a degree, yes, I control what is happening in my reality because I have a desire and I want it to materialize. And we're meant to have those desires so they can materialize, right? God put them in your heart so you could have them. But we're not meant to be manipulating that. We're not meant to be seeing behind the curtain. It's like going to an amazing magic show and then being like, I want to know all the tricks. I want to know how you did that. I want to know what the sequence was. And it ruins the magic, guys, is what I'm trying to say. There is a pathway that is so mystical and it is so magical and it is so divine when we stop trying to control how and manipulate energy and matter and try and be like, I'm so spiritually enlightened or whatever, I'm going to control and manipulate reality. Just let it happen. Right? So the work isn't that anymore. If you've been doing the seeking for all of these years and you're exhausted because nothing in your reality is shifting, it's because you haven't come home yet. And there's nothing wrong with you, because it took me a long fucking time as well to realize this. You simply haven't come home to the fact that you are actually always whole and your system is still just repeating patterns. And that's like, take all of the confusion out of it. Take all of the jargon out of it. Take all of the right, wrong, good, bad, angels and demons, galactic wars, like going to hell because you're a sinner. Just take all of that out of it. Just stop confusing something that doesn't need to be confused. Your nervous system's already confused enough. You don't need to confuse it with more healing, more jargon, more seeking. You just need to bring it back into balance and bring it back into peace. So this is the work that I will be doing moving forward. This is my main focus. It's like God was saying to me, this is where you're literally just bringing people home to me. That's it. Doesn't matter what it is, what it looks like. You're bringing people home to the body, to be embodied, grounded, compassionate, loving humans. Because what happens when you are no longer seeking outside for all of that is that you become this beautiful conduit of love and grace for others to experience God's love and grace through you, right? And because you're resonating and vibrating in this energy of fulfillment and not neediness and not demanding and not clinging and not grasping and not like, please pick me, I don't feel fulfilled. Naturally, life is so much more receptive to you. The man chooses you. The woman chooses you. The clients say, fuck yeah, here's my money, right? Because you're no longer repeating or creating from this place of brokenness, of dysregulation, okay? So that's where I'm going to leave my message. I am actually opening a Telegram container on Monday, which is called Sovereign Queen, and it is about this inner shift because it's coming from a place of identity and embodiment, right? Identity and embodiment. Forget the spiritual language, forget the manifesting, forget the fucking vision boarding, forget the meditation, forget all these things. They are not relevant when you just start to focus on your body, because your body naturally wants to come back to this balance. It wants to release all that stuff because it knows that that's not its highest state. So this journey is about creating and coming back to that inner security. It's about recoding the nervous system. It's about walking through life as if you were already secure, chosen, loved, and then watching the field respond. And this isn't something that is anchored in one ayahuasca journey where you have a realization and then you go back to repeating the pattern again and again and again every time it shows up. No, this is about training every day for 30 days, training this state until your cells have no choice but to hold it, right? This is who I am now. This is who I am. I am sovereign queen. I only accept reciprocity. I only accept respect. I only accept abundance. I only expect love. I expect life to give me the best, and this is how I walk through life, and this is what my system is signaling at all time. And I can meet people in my heart, and I can share from this place of non-attachment because I'm whole. I don't need anything from any of you, right? Don't join I don't care, right? Like, I don't need anything from anyone. I don't need that person to love me back. I just love because it's just who I am and it's my nature. And then things effortlessly reciprocate. So if you want to get in on that, it's going to be great. I'm going to be sharing all of this somatic work, They're going to be energetic recodes, system recodes for your body to just come back, to return. That's all it is. I'm not trying to heal you. I'm just bringing you back to what you already are inside. And then the reality shifts from that place. If you have watched that documentary I've mentioned, or you're curious about the journey that I went to get here, because again, I'm not going to negate everything that I went through to get to this place. It was important and it brought me here. It's no longer necessary. So, my first book, Diamond Light Oracle, it is profound and it is deep and it is life-changing. But I look at it now and I'm like, I've evolved past that, right? But if you're at the point still where you're on this spiritual path and that language resonates with you, I invite you to read that book, because there is something there for you. There is a second book called Big G Energy, which is all about returning to the Father, right? Particularly powerful for women. It's like so many of us are just living out father wounds, and we're just looking for daddy to come save us in every man and every person outside of us, right? For that security, that provision, that holding, that actually there is a source that already has all of that for you, that is holding you in that way. You just need to connect back to it. So that's healing the God wound. And ultimately, both of these books and everything that I create was always only ever about bringing you back to this truth of your union with God, with this higher source, with harmony, right? So like all the language, all the mysteries, all that stuff, it's great, but like it's only ever serving this vehicle for you to return home to God's love, right? That's all it is. So if you don't need that, then great. Just work on your nervous system, work on your body, work on your emotional stuff. To why am I still believing that I'm not loved? Why am I still living this reality where I'm in anxiety all the time, right? It's held in the body. The body wants to release it. This is what I'm trying to say. The fastest way is through the body. It's not through the mind. Although energetic work is amazing because it works on all levels, the physical body, the light bodies, all the bodies, the emotional bodies, right? That's all the journey really is. Strip it back. Stop confusing it. Stop complicating it. I'm going to drop some links below. I love you all. I hope you have received what you have needed to receive, but I know that you have. If this resonated, let me know below. And yeah, if you want the documentary, let me know, because it was a good documentary. I will say it was pretty bang on. But yeah, not really where I'm at in this journey anymore. So I love you. Mwah. Have an amazing day, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do, or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to beckmylonas.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.